You're gonna be the first
Here's
to.
Chibi Guillermo del Toro with his fucking fetus baby.
You gotta love to be gone back yet. Lobster's a 10, I think don't you grab it.
Welcome to Lobster Magnet and Friends. I'm here with my buddy Goro.
What's up?
So it was funny. Reading this chapter, we didn't get this to you guys as quickly as I would have liked because we went to the New York Anime Con. Yay! Woo! Did we have a good time?
Yeah, very good time. Got a lot of swag from the artist alley, and
The only swag I bought were the Death Stranding cards because I felt guilty for wasting the guy's time. Now I've got these like fucking useless cards that at least I got like a cute shitty version of Guillermo del Toro.
He might be watching this video right now.
I highly doubt it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I can actually show you my Death Stranding cards.
Those are cool, actually.
They are nice, but it's like, what am I going to do with these? Like, I've got this fan art for this game which nobody knows anything about.
Not yet. Look, but you're gonna be the first. You're gonna be the first.
Here's Chibi Guillermo del Toro with his fucking fetus baby.
You're gonna be so hipster. You got so much hipster street cred.
I don't even remember who that guy is. There's the woman and another baby.
You could be showing off, basically. Like, think of it like this: you're showing off like My Hero Academia characters, like before anyone thinks it's cool.
Hopefully, here's Mads Mikkelsen. God, these were not worth $20, but at least I gave my money back to someone. After running an artist table, now I understand the guilt of wasting people's times. And the more time I spend talking to them, the more like obligated I feel to spend something that I have no value on just for the sake of like compensating them for the $200 they spent in getting the table.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So the reason why I went on that whole rant was because while we were at the chapter there. I had like skimmed it. I hadn't read the whole thing, so we kind of read it both at the same time. And the whole time I was like, "Oh man, Goro, wait till you see the big reveal. Wait till you see things are gonna get even more complicated."
I didn't even read it up to the point before you spoiled it for me. Like, the Suicide Squad.
It
you just wanted to blurt that out.
Page. They said what they did. They had them all lined up there. They said that they're like, which is really interesting because like we've heard the whole Nen is stronger upon death thing. We've never really seen it in practice.
We have though, in some
like
cases.
I can only think of one occasion.
Well, there's the Hosoka one, which is.
Two. There's two occasions.
What was this first one you were thinking of?
When Gon kills Pito, she has a death upon Nen ability that activates, and she continues to fight him. Where her like, her trapeze doll or whatever it was called, Trapadosha, gets stronger and it like takes off his arm.
Pito. Oh. Pito's reanimated and starts fighting Gon again.
Mm-hmm.
Takes off his
after
arm.
He like crushes her, and then he crushes her face again, even harder.
I see. Yeah, that I forgot about that completely. That was so long ago.
Yeah. So that and Hisoka are the only death Nen getting stronger upon death examples that I can think of.
I think there was one example. Krollo took a power that was like Nen that was more powerful after death kind of thing.
Well,
like
that was the reason why. That was the
power.
reason why the spiders were so afraid of killing Krapika, because they were afraid if they killed him, his Nen ability would curse Krollo and kill him.
Ew. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, at the very end, there's a scene where like Finks and Phaeton confront Gon and Kaluuya at an auction house, and they said, "Oh, don't worry, we're not coming after Krapika." because Nen is stronger upon death. But then they're like, well, they don't know about Nen Exorcist, so ha ha ha, we're gonna get the last laugh.
Yeah. Nen exorcism is pretty interesting. Removing curses and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. Wait, but they could try and kill Kurapika after they remove the curse they put on,
after
right?
they remove the curse, then Kurapika's open game.
Right. Okay. But anyway, so back to the Suicide Squad.
Well, before we get to the Suicide Squad, let's get basically the whole chapter was like, Benjamin,
There's a lot to unpack.
Benjamin was trying to figure out how Hockenberg's ability works.
Yeah.
And they didn't get the full range of it, but yeah, we got a little smattering of everyone reacting to Hockenberg.
So, and it was, and it made sense. The dark skinned like general guy with the scar on his face. He's like, he seems to have the most realized version of what Hockenberg's power can do, or what it's trying to accomplish. Because his theory is that basically no Nen beast can try and kill another Nen beast or another Nen beast user.
Yeah, I think they talked about that a long time ago, but that's his theory, that the Nen beasts only defend the prince. They don't. They won't attack another prince.
Right. So that to me is interesting to because that means it just has to be basically a proxy war with between the princes.
Well, that's the whole idea, is that the person who has the right to rule is the one who could best utilize the resources they have. So it's not so much princes killing each other as much as it is the princes utilizing their resources to kill each other.
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
And we also get a little look of Prince Tyson and the rulings, and people are getting more and more indoctrinated into the Book of Tyson.
Yeah, that hunter is really feeling the love. I'm surprised that even the other hunter, Kurapika's former teacher, he's not starting to get indoctrinated a little bit more.
Well, I did think that was really interesting, where they like come in with a birthday cake and it's like, my birthday's not till 2 months from now. Oh, that doesn't matter. I'm just happiness and sunshine and love.
Oh yeah, you could just tell like he's slowly starting to change in personality and everything. Because before he was like, you remember to the other hunter, he's like, let me teach you how to compliment someone's book without reading it. So now we see him actually reading the book, and he's like, oh, this book is amazing. This is the fourth time I read it.
Little by little, people are getting like, it definitely seems like a more benevolent version of the Sail Nen Beast.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, is this going to be like the little Jesus freak who like remains good and pure, or are we going to see an evil side to the Jesus freak, or is she just going to get killed off because she's a Jesus freak?
So far it's pretty positive, but I think there is like a very dire consequence for betraying her, right?
They said that like in the Nen Beast abilities that there are like dire consequences if you betray the believings of Tyson.
Right. So that hasn't come into play yet at all, but I think just this, like it makes her subjects very loyal. Uh, and they get like feel good benefits for being loyal to Tyson as well. So it just makes sure that it make like I think it's very interesting like how these Nembe's powers like differ so greatly, and like how the princes can take advantage of these powers. Um,
Well, they also don't seem to have any idea of like nobody tells them how the powers work.
right. It's almost like they have to just kind of wing it, and it's more based on their personalities, I guess.
Well, and that also is a good segue to the Suicide Squad because, like, it's very difficult to like get these princes together, and it's even more difficult to get access to a prince because we learned that Camilla isn't out of the game yet. That apparently
Is this a good segue to the Suicide Squad?
well, it's a good segue because the Suicide Squad, their entire tactic is based upon seeing the prince and being as close to the prince as possible. Which hypothetically maybe they can do if Camilla is allowed to assign her people to like guard lower level princes, which she should be able to do because she's the second level prince.
Oh, okay. So you're saying there could be a Suicide Squad member in Tyson's camp that is getting indoctrinated by the teachings, but then at the very last minute they might do their Suicide Squad move.
Uh, Possibly, but I think all the Suicide Squad members we were shown, and I was just thinking about more along the lines of how it's like this really ineffective form of assassination, given the fact that like we've seen like Krapika's only seen one prince, and he's talked to like maybe two or three, but he's never had any impersonal contact. So basically, we've seen that it's like really really difficult to be within the same room as a prince.
Right. But that's yeah, it's interesting. Like, how does Camila like get her Suicide Squad guards like even in the same vicinity as a prince? Like, if they're not like it, why didn't she just distribute them like to the other princes beforehand?
Good question. And so what do you think? Are you pro or anti Suicide Squad now that it's even more complicated?
I'm definitely pro Suicide Squad. This is really cool, and like they have to curse the prince's name like 100 times a day or something, and they have to use a special knife to commit seppuku or
There's a
whatever.
lot of like complications. They gotta like have a picture of the prince that they're obsessed about. They gotta think about it all day. They gotta then burn the ashes and scatter the ashes. Then use the
Then
ashes
eat
on
the
a knife,
then
eat
just
the
the ashes.
ashes. Then kiss the thing, and then they, for maximum effect, then they gotta like stare the eyes of their target as they like slit their throats.
Right.
It was interesting that, like, we didn't even know this until, like, whatchamacallit, the haiku hunter was thinking to himself, like, oh, maybe the guy who shot himself was imparting a curse. And then we learned, oh, there's an entire cursed suicide brigade by Camilla, who, isn't out of the game as much as we thought it was.
Right. So that was an interesting segue.
What are you looking at?
Yeah, because when Basho says that, the possibility opens up like, oh, suicide may not just be suicide. It could be, you know, a direct Nen attack too. And then we get introduced to the Camilla's Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
And how and the story of the Untouchables, and how Camilla
I do wish we learned a little bit more about the Untouchables in terms of like what makes them untouchable. Are they just like really poor people, like the ones from Meteor City? Like what makes them such pariahs within the world of Kakin?
I imagine it's heavily based on um, Untouchables in India.
Oh, you mean like the Indian caste system?
Yeah,
That's what it felt like the most similar to me. So you might be right about that.
yeah. So it's just basically people that are so um, such lower class, like the higher class, uh, will not touch them. No one will touch them because
And
they're
then
so low
and then
class.
good old Camilla is able to just like uplift them. So the real question is, does this make Camilla like a little bit more sympathetic? Probably not, since she's like using them as a suicide squad.
Yeah, just the fact that she's using them just to kill themselves off again is just like kind of
But hey, they got some pretty spiffy houses, right?
yeah. It's like thank you, Camilla, for giving us a purpose in life. Now let's end our lives for her cause.
Yeah.
So that's it's interesting that the whole untouchable cat case. I forget how you pronounce it. That
Cast.
caste system. If they're giving Nen powers, they have specifically. They all specifically have like Nen curses that they give upon death, which is it's kind of neat because it really goes to show like how centered, like how much being an untouchable revolves around each individual's life, each individual untouchable's life.
Yeah, that is like a good point in terms of how it's like their entire things. And then you're the two guys who are like, for the princes that are already dead, and they're like, "Hey, are we off the hook? We'll totally get into hell, but we don't have to kill ourselves now, right?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Fine, sure, okay." Although you'd think that like maybe it would be like, "Oh, hey, maybe we could double up on our curses."
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, but they're probably not as ahead of the game as the other untouchables who are already cursing their targets, right?
well, true. I assume they don't have as much prep time as the other people who've been like prepping it for a week and cursing their names.
Right.
But even the grandma there is like, oh well, if you do it right now, it could take 3 months before they're dead. But if you do it, but you got to be close to them and you got to look them in the eye, and then it'll be like a week. But the Nen Beast might stop the curse, or maybe they'll have a Nen exorcist, and then it'll all be for nothing.
Yeah. Or oh yeah, that was their plan. They wanted to draw out the Nen exorcists, right?
Yeah, they want to make sure the Nen exorcist is taken care of before they launch their Nen curses.
But even if they do draw out the Nen exorcist, they will get like their plan. I think is to draw out the Nen exorcist after someone curses one of the princes, so then they can target the Nen exorcist to kill them.
True, but they got to be careful not to wait. I think their plan is to like save the higher level princes and then go for one of the lower level princes to get the Nen exorcist, and they also want intel to see if they can figure it out beforehand. Oh yeah, and isn't there like one of them that's going to go training for Krapika's group because they're wondering if that'll be able to help them out too?
Yeah. Second Prince Private Guard Captain Sarahel, in charge of 14th Prince Wobble's curse. Sarahel. Sarahel is going to go to Karapika's training and try and participate in that. and use that as an opportunity to kill Wobble, to curse Wobble.
Yeah, that'll be the first thing. Oh man, that'll be so messed up that they like, he just like starts walking. Well, because yeah, when Krapika takes them in for the private consultation, they're basically alone with Queen Oito and Wobble.
Along with Queen Oito, Wobble, Bill, and Karapika.
So hypothetically, what could happen is, they just makes a beeline for Prince Wobble, and then they like slit their throat or shoot themselves in the head.
They have to use the knife though. That's the ceremonial knife has to be used to activate the Nen curse.
That's what makes them the most powerful.
That's what activates the Nen curse, I believe.
Well,
You have to kill them each. They have to kill themselves with the knife.
so that I'm very curious to see what happens when Krapika tries to attempt that. But it's interesting to hear. It feels like Benjamin's going to be distracted by Hockenberg, while the terror sandwich is going to be the real threat. Although you were thinking that like maybe one of the curses gets through to the terror sandwich, but then because it puts him in a state of Zetsu, he's just like this immortal super god who could see into the future all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was just as a joke, I think, mostly because they said soon after, once the prince will, after the curse is initiated, they'll be put into a state of Zetsu, and then death will follow soon after. So even if Tesseric was in a state of Zetsu and he could see into the future, he couldn't avoid death coming for him soon after. No matter how much he can see into the future of a curse. Maybe, I don't think within the 10 seconds he'll think to get an exorcist.
True. So all right. So there's that end, but who knows? Maybe because he's stuck in Zetsu, he just keeps on seeing an hour to the future. He just sees that he needs to get an Nen exorcist, or else he's gonna die, and he sees how he's gonna die.
Oh, you think it might extend his foreseeing power?
Possibly. Well, we don't know.
Man.
There are a lot,
I think
of unknowns here.
I think that'd be too broken. I like the 10-second thing. It more aligns with like what I see in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
The world.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I can see that. It's a distinct limitation. But so are you happy to see that like things are even more complicated and that we've yet another faction in play with the Mafia? Like I remember you were saying like let's get all the sub factions in a room. What if the Suicide Squad meets
in the same room as Morena's squad, as Morena's men, and in the same room as Hockenberg's men? What would happen?
And Benjamin's army. Don't forget Benjamin's army.
Oh my God. There'd be like a huge character battle of all the underlings.
All the underlings. And then
epic.
And then Shimura, your favorite bodyguard, comes in, or handmaiden. And then she's just like...
She pulls the most badass political move ever. She'd be like, excuse me, I have a phone call with, the king himself.
But it's not really the king. It's an impersonator who's impersonating the king's voice, and that's the only way to stop it and put an end to it.
Yes. Oh, man. This is the beauty of Hunter x Hunter.
So many story possibilities. It's like a wheel that never stops turning.
Yeah. Oh, what did you think about... we didn't talk about this. How Prince Benjamin handled Hockenberg.
Well, it seems like
he arrested him.
Well,
he got him arrested.
Did he?
Yeah.
What
they're gonna put him.
For?
So what happened was they connected.
We didn't see that on screen. It was just them talking about it.
So what happened was they they realized how threatening Hockenberg was, so they tried to take him out of the equation from the rest of his subordinates. So they accused him of the murders that were happening in the lower decks because of the crazy amount of aura that was coming from Hockenberg's camp. So he basically got the the rest of the judicial branch involved uh, to restrain Hockenberg and question him basically under First Prince Benjamin's.
Authority. But didn't they say something like, well, I'm confused about that. I need to reread it because the last time we saw Hockenberg, he was investigating after the suicide to see if his guy came back after the body transfer.
Yeah, but we haven't seen the result of that yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen the result of that, and we also heard that radio where Hockenberg was like mowing down one of Benjamin's guys.
Yeah, which I assume he probably took over, probably switched consciousness with one of his own soldiers using the arrow,
Yeah, assumingly.
the Nen arrow technique.
That was like the fourth rumble. There was one we saw on screen, and then there's one we didn't see. So I'm not quite sure how he would, if he did that, how we wouldn't know about it, or how Benjamin would get him into prison.
Um, well, the fact that one of his bodyguards has gone, like, one of his bodyguards killed himself, another, mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah, and that's assuming he's part of Hockenberg's troop now.
And but they're using this to imply that Hockenberg is responsible for some of the murders that have been happening recently on the ship. So they're using, first Prince Benjamin's leverage over the other higher authorities to say, like, hey, my one of my siblings is he could be connected to these murders. I think you should investigate this. And so they took to action, and they basically they're putting Hockenberg into questioning, I believe.
But I don't know how they'd hold them, but didn't they say that like, oh, he's gonna get out, we can't hold him for long or something?
Exactly. But what First Prince Benjamin wants to do right now, the highest priority, is to eliminate Hockenberg at this opportunity when he doesn't have his other men to enhance his powers.
Power.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. But yeah, Benjamin's attention is now into Hockenberg. I did like looking at his palm with the powers, and he could he's dead now because I have his power.
Yeah. Well,
that was another like fun little Nen, check and balance in terms of how everything works.
Yeah. So he's using that palm to just see, like, oh, okay, my man is still alive, technically. The one that they lost radio contact with. So he's just missing right now. So they may have his body. They probably took over his body, and now he's like hiding somewhere in Hockenberg's room, or I don't know. Actually.
We'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting to see if Benjamin tries to confront him head on, or if he tries to, have the Predator guy or someone else like try and disable him.
Yeah.
But he needs more time, though. The Predator guy needs like 2 days to recharge, like 48 hours. So there's the element of like, and time's going by pretty quickly. We're like seeing this shit take place hour by hour.
Um, let's see. The Hockenberg thing, that's actually taken place over the course of, I think it was like a 2-day discussion. It was over the course of 2 days, I believe.
It's hard to say
Because
because we're like always like jumping through the timeline. There is like a little time thing stamp that he does between chapters, but
yeah,
because
he
we go
does
from
like
so many different
ninth day,
characters.
Monday. After they discussed about what Hockenberg's powers might be, might be trying to accomplish, uh, that was ninth day Monday, and then on 10th day Tuesday was the second rumbling of Hockenberg's ability, whatever it is, whatever that means.
Well,
It seems like such a strong, powerful ability, but really it's taking over the body of another person.
well,
I
it's like
guess.
pretty much incapacitating them. That's pretty strong because there's no defense. You can't shield it or defend against it,
Yeah.
as far as we know.
Yeah. Another thing was I think Shikaku, the first bodyguard that got body switched by Hockenberg, he was a manipulator type, and they mentioned that manipulator types.
Oh yeah, that was really interesting. Where they talked about how manipulator types, like a common tactic, is you manipulate yourself, and that makes you immune to other manipulators.
Yeah, so they said that Shikaku would have had a counter to Hockenberg's manipulation attack, but that didn't happen. That was kind of interesting because we saw Shikaku. He tried to use his like card ability or whatever, but I don't know if he wasn't fast enough or his ability wasn't powerful enough.
I just think it pierced through because in the blurb when Hockenberg used his ability, it says it pierces through all defenses.
Right.
And that's what made it like so dangerous. That it was like a bow and arrow that can has no defense, no way to get around it when he fires it.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So that's why Hockenberg is such a big threat that he has to be dealt with.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back to the chapter to see that in action again, like Hockenberg unleashing the arrow on Shikaku. That'd be interesting to see if I can sort of pinpoint where he was trying to counter Hockenberg's possible manipulation attack.
Well,
But maybe he didn't know it was a manipulation attack at first because it looked like enhancement ability.
yeah. Well, he also had an ability that captures other people's abilities. His was like literally like called King of Games. It was literally like something out of Yu-Gi-Oh, where it was like, "Here's my card. I'm gonna capture your ability," but it like broke through it, and then Hockenberg took over his body.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, now I see.
A lot of tricky stuff happening in these Nen wars.
So much to think about. And then there's like this whole thing, like if it's possible that Shikaku's suicide was a diversionary tactic to do something Nen-wise to Prince Luzurus. And yeah, that was another question. Why did Shikaku kill himself outside of Luzurus's room?
Well, there didn't seem to be any specific reason other than just like weirding people out about Prince Benjamin.
Right. That's what we assume from Hockenberg's
more
camp.
thought than from the appearance, as far as we know. I wonder, is Togashi building up like another palace invasion where we're just gonna have like the banquet and like all shit's gonna fly and we're gonna see all these elements like all go down, like all layered upon each other?
Uh, I imagine something like that is going to happen. Yeah.
Well, it definitely is the clusterfuck of all clusterfucks.
This is probably the biggest clusterfuck I've ever seen in the manga
and
ever.
he just keeps on adding more clusterfucky elements. Oh my god!
In a single story arc, this is the biggest clusterfuck that has ever happened in the history of manga.
It's definitely
ever.
It's definitely up there. So, what would you give this chapter?
Oh, this chapter was a 9. 9 for me.
The more complicated stuff. I gotta ask you, what would be the element that would make you like turn on this chapter and be like, Hunter x Hunter? When would like adding another complicated element be one complicated element too far for you?
I don't know. As soon as if the complicated element was like not, if the really complicated element was like super inconsequential, like if it was a character that was like babysitting Gon while he's doing his paperwork, and they were talking about the complication of I don't know, the complication of their life, you know, I don't fucking know. I don't know. If like all of a sudden maybe we jump to like Killua's father and how he has to deal with the complications of his nen, like jumping from like too far away from the subject matter at hand.
That's what would piss you off?
It would annoy me a little bit, because then if we did too much jumping around from the Succession War, because the Succession War is just so much shit is wrapped up into this right now. Like, I think if we jumped around from one thing to another too much outside the Succession War, it would be really, really bad.
Yeah, that is true. I'm very
outside
curious.
of the ship. I mean,
I think we've got like 1 or 2 more chapters left. Well, that'll be the test. Will Togashi go on break? Will we have another hiatus, or will the series go on?
I hope the series goes on. Yeah. Maybe he gets like paid a ridiculous amount for just these few chapters, and then he can live off of it for a while. And he's like, okay, I did all these chapters. Finally, now I can go take a nice vacation.
I can go back to playing Dragon Quest and Monster Hunter.
Oh yeah, Dragon Quest and Monster Hunter.
Yeah, that would be interesting if like he just like sits around, doesn't do anything, and then he's like, "Oh man, funds are running low. Time to make some Hunter x Hunter."
At least he isn't the Hellsing guy. The Hellsing guy, he has to deal with One Piece and Nami.
Yeah.
His main vice is Nami.
Yeah.
So that's like every single One Piece chapter, basically.
Yeah. Whenever there's a Nami moment, or other sexy women that looks exactly like Nami, because Oda only draws one kind of woman. That's it. No more Drifters or Hellsing. You're done. It's time to take a break.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'll give this chapter an 8.5. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Togashi.
Really? You liked it that much? I'm surprised.
I was surprised that, like, I'm just amazed that, like, when I thought, like, things should be resolving and things should be, like, building up, that, like, Togashi would have, like, the brass balls to introduce another thing that's even more complicated.
Yeah.
If anything, I thought we'd see one of the princes who we haven't seen yet get killed off.
Do you think we're gonna see a lot of complicated factors come in with like the goons from Marina's camp mixed up with, whatever clusterfuck is going on here. Like the goons from Marina's camp, like gets assassinates Camilla's Suicide Squad or something
It's
like
so
that.
hard to say at this point. I have no idea what the fuck is going to go on. There's no way I could have even predicted a Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Oh man, so many plots. It's like it sometimes does remind me a lot of like Game of Thrones.
Well,
Like Game of Thrones had a lot
this is
of
very
plot
much
threads.
the most Game of Thronesian plot we've ever seen from Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, I think this is probably directly inspired by Game of Thrones.
Well, Saudi Arabia, Game of Thrones, fucking Indian class system. This is just a big melting pot of a lot of shit.
It's maybe the biggest melting pot of any manga story arc ever.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's definitely like far more complicated and melting-y than just like the usual bullshit of like, we gotta fight the bad guys with our mystical superpowers.
Yeah, way more complicated than Chimera Ant or Greed Island.
They ain't got nothing on this. This is the most complicated shit. All right,
Yeah.
I gotta start getting ready for work. Thank you for hanging out with us for our nice long Hunter x Hunter discussion.
Yep. Yep.
It's Thanksgiving weekend. No Thanksgiving for Tagashi, so we should be getting a chapter this week, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. In this wonderful, complicated clusterfuck that we call Hunter x Hunter.
Do you think they're gonna try and assassinate Hockenberg?
I hope so.
During this time?
I want to see someone try and kill someone.
Like this is probably the most perfect opportunity to try and do it to Hockenberg.
It would be really badass, and I do want to see a little bit more direct assassinations. We haven't seen like a really good Prince death since 383, so I want more Prince blood. So that way we can resolve things.
With Cacho.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty dramatic.
That was pretty good. That was some good Hunter x Hunter. All right,
Yeah.
so let us know in your comments. Are you pro Suicide Squad? Do you hate the Suicide Squad? We like reading your thoughts down below. And remember, lobster's antennas, but don't you grab it. See ya.